check this.
If you want to survive in the ocean, the rule is simple. Run from the things that are trying to kill you. But the most powerful thing in the water doesn't even have teeth. It doesn't hunt you. It doesn't chase you. It doesn't even know you exist. The blue whale. Even killer whales, very ironically, will not try to kill an adult blue whale. They're just too outmatched. Not just by muscle, but by forces that an animal only this large would be capable of. When the blue whale moves, everything in the water in a quarter-mile radius has to react. If you don't react, you will die. How are these whales so deadly? And why are these the only whales that were able to get remotely as big as this? Well, the most obvious answer to their strength is just size. People tend to think of the blue whale as a gentle giant. We picture them sort of like oversized manatees, just peacefully drifting through the open ocean, singing songs and occasionally opening their mouths to eat some krill. It's a very majestic image.
And also, completely wrong.
A fully grown blue whale weighs around 400,000 pounds. That's the equivalent of about 33 elephants or a fully loaded commercial aeroplane. And they aren't just drifting. When they want to, blue whales can swim at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. If you put 400,000 pounds of pure muscle into the water and move it at 30 miles per hour, that's just a pure, unstoppable momentum. Just by existing and moving through the water, a blue whale is incredibly dangerous. It doesn't even have to try to hurt you. If a normal-sized shark or dolphin gets caught in the slipstream of a sprinting blue whale, they're going to get thrown completely out of control. The wake alone is enough to just violently toss smaller animals around. It's like standing on the highway when a semi-truck blows past you at 80 miles per hour, except the air is made of water and the truck is, well, made of 400,000 pounds of blubber and muscle. But even if you manage to avoid getting completely crushed by its wake, you still have to worry about what happens when it actually decides to eat. Blue whales aren't out there casually grazing on krill. They use a tactic called lunge feeding, and it's violently effective. When a blue whale spots a massive swarm of krill, it dives down, lines itself up, and then accelerates as fast as it possibly can straight towards the swarm. Right before it hits the center of the krill, it drops its lower jaw. And the lower jaw of a blue whale is essentially a massive parachute. The grooves on the underside of their throat are called ventral pleats, and they're designed to stretch. When the high-speed water hits the inside of the mouth, these pleats expand outward. A lot. In a matter of seconds, the whale engulfs a volume of water that's literally equivalent to its own body weight. Think about that. It completely swallows a swimming pool's worth of water and everything inside of it in a single gulp. To a school of krill, there's no slow, dramatic chase. It's just an inseparable wall of water that instantly deletes their entire zip code.
So, what would actually happen if you got caught in that water?
Let's say you're a scuba diver, and since you watch Beyond the Blue, you're obviously a certified ocean expert, but you just happen to be in the exact wrong place at the exact wrong time. You're swimming along, and suddenly, the water around you accelerates, everything goes black, and you realize you have just been swallowed by a 100-foot whale. Are you cooked? Well, no. You'd be sitting in the pitch black, surrounded by thousands of gallons of water and very confused shrimp. The baleen plates at the roof of the whale's mouth would basically just trap you inside. But the whale actually can't eat you. Despite having a mouth large enough to comfortably park 2 minivans inside, a blue whale's actual throat is shockingly tiny. It's only about the size of a grapefruit. Evolution designed them to swallow millions of tiny things, not one large thing. So the whale would immediately realize there's a massive object in its mouth that definitely isn't krill. It can't swallow you, and it definitely doesn't want you in there. So it would just open its mouth and flush you back out into the ocean. You wouldn't be digested, you'd just be extremely traumatized. And you'd probably need a new wetsuit. But honestly, getting spat out is probably the best case scenario, because if you're swimming next to a blue whale, you have a much bigger problem to worry about, and it's something you can't even see. We all know that whales sing. It's a fun fact you learn in elementary school, but what people don't realize is the sheer volume of what a blue whale is actually capable of producing. A blue whale's call can reach up to 188 decibels. To put that into perspective, a jet engine at takeoff is about 140 decibels. If you stand too close to a jet engine without ear protection, your eardrums will instantly rupture. The blue whale is significantly louder than that. And you have to remember, this isn't happening in the air. This is happening underwater. Water is much denser than air, which means sound waves travel way faster and they hit a lot harder. When a blue whale makes a sound at 188 decibels, that's a physical shockwave. If you were swimming right next to a blue whale when it decided to call at full volume, the acoustic pressure would literally vibrate your internal organs. It could permanently deafen you or even cause internal bleeding. And if a sound is literally vibrating your internal organs, what exactly does this do to the animals that actually live down there? In the deep ocean, light basically doesn't exist, so a lot of the ocean's top predators, like sperm whales and dolphins, rely completely on echolocation to see the world. They send out clicks and listen for the echoes to bounce back so they can actually figure out what's around them. But when a blue whale is in the area and it lets out 188 decibel call, that audio map is instantly destroyed. To a sperm whale, a blue whale calling nearby is basically like getting hit by a flashbang, which is obviously incredibly rude. It completely scrambles their senses. They can't communicate with their pod, and they can't even navigate properly. They're basically forced to drop whatever they're doing and leave the area, just so they can actually figure out where they are again.
So, if you can't even be near the whale without going deaf, how does a predator actually hunt it?
Well, they don't.
You might look at a blue whale and think, okay, it's loud and it's big.
But it has absolutely no way to fight back. It doesn't have claws, it doesn't have teeth, and it isn't particularly agile. So why doesn't a great white shark just swim up to it, take a massive bite out of its side, and swim away? It seems like free food. The reason this doesn't happen is simply because of basic anatomy. Great whites are only good at one thing, and that's being really sneaky. They rely on ambushing prey and sinking their teeth in deep. But a great white's teeth are only about 2 to 3 inches long. A blue whale's blubber is over a foot thick. If a great white shark sneaks up on a blue whale and bites it as hard as it possibly can, its teeth aren't even going to pierce all the way through the fat. It will never reach a vital organ. It will never hit a major artery. The shark is essentially just biting a solid wall of dense tissue. It's a massive waste of energy for the shark, and it achieves absolutely nothing besides making the largest animal on Earth very annoyed. But obviously, just being really fat doesn't automatically make you immune to getting attacked, because if a shark really wanted to, it could just keep biting, right? But here is the actual reason you don't want to annoy a blue whale. They might be completely missing teeth, but they do have a tail, and the tail of a blue whale is genuinely insanely overpowered. The flukes of a blue whale can be up to 25 feet wide. That's the width of a 2-car garage. Imagine getting hit in the face by a 2-car garage while moving at 30 miles an hour. And this tail is powered by the peduncle, which is the absolute thickest part of the whale's entire body. If a predator gets too close, the blue whale doesn't need to outmaneuver it. It doesn't need to bite it. It just needs to swing. A full-force tail slap from a blue whale carries so much kinetic energy. If a great white shark gets caught by a tail slap, its spine will snap in half. Period. There are documented cases of large whales using their tails to launch predators completely out of the water. So you have an animal you can't bite through, you can't sneak up on, and if you make it mad, it will literally launch you completely out of the water. It makes perfect sense why the sharks completely ignore them. But is there anything in the modern ocean that can actually kill one? Well, yes, but there's a massive catch. Orcas are the only animals in the world that actively hunt blue whales. But this isn't a normal hunt. A single orca, or even a small pod, has absolutely zero chance against a healthy adult blue whale. It's just not gonna happen. So instead, orcas almost exclusively target calves, and even then, it requires a coordinated superpod of sometimes 50 to 70 orcas working together for hours. They can't just bite the calf to death, because again, the blubber is too thick. Instead, they have to physically exhaust it. They take turns swimming over the calf's blowhole, physically pushing it underwater to stop it from breathing. It's an exhausting marathon, and if the mother whale manages to land a solid tail slap during this fight, the orca is dead. The fact it takes 50 of the ocean's smartest predators several hours just to kill a baby blue whale proves exactly why nothing even bothers trying to hunt the adults. So, all modern ocean predators are basically useless against a fully grown adult. But could anything in history have ever been big enough to take this down? Say a 50-foot prehistoric shark? Let's put the modern blue whale up against the megalodon. The megalodon was a prehistoric shark with jaws that looked like, yeah, good luck surviving that. Their entire evolutionary purpose was to hunt and kill whales. So if these two cross paths, the megalodon should win, right? Well, before these guys can even fight, there's an issue. Megalodons are big, yes, but they only averaged about 50 feet long. Blue whales are close to 100 feet and are nearly triple the weight. The megalodon evolved to hunt much smaller baleen whales. It never actually had to deal with something the size of a modern blue whale. If a megalodon tried to bite a fully grown blue whale, it would definitely do more damage than a great white. Its teeth were much larger and its jaws were much wider, but it still runs into the exact same problem. The blue whale is just so impossibly large that the megalodon couldn't actually get its jaws around anything vital. The megalodon would take a chunk of blubber and flesh, and the blue whale would respond by dropping a 25-foot tail slap directly onto the shark's head with enough force to completely shatter its skull, which tends to be fatal. In a close-range brawl, the sheer mass of the blue whale still wins. But this raises a really interesting point. If getting this massive makes you completely immune to literally the deadliest shark in planetary history, why didn't everything else just do this too? Evolution is usually a game of counters. A predator gets faster, so the prey gets better at hiding. A predator gets sharper teeth, so the prey grows thicker armor. It's a never-ending arms race. But the ancestors of the blue whale didn't want to play that game anymore. They looked at the concept of outsmarting predators and realized it was a massive waste of energy, so they just skipped the arms race entirely. They just scaled up. They found an abundant food source, krill, that no other large predator was bothering to eat. And because krill is so nutrient dense, and because the ocean physically supports massive body weights without the reduction of gravity, they just kept growing. They didn't evolve venom, or spikes, or camouflage. Instead, their ultimate defense mechanism against the ocean's deadliest predators was just to become really, really fat. They became so unbelievably huge that the entire concept of being prey stopped applying to them. They essentially beat the ocean's food chain by literally just outgrowing everything. You can't be hunted if the things trying to hunt you literally can't even fit their mouths around you. If being this big solves literally every problem in the ocean, why does it stop at 100 feet long? If being 100 feet long makes you unkillable, then being 200 feet long should be even better, right? Well, the ocean might not have a predator big enough to kill a blue whale, but biology itself has a hard limit, and that limit is the heart. A blue whale's heart is about the size of a bumper car. It weighs 400 pounds, and it has to pump blood through a circulatory system that's so massive, a human child could literally crawl through the main artery. When a blue whale is just casually diving, its heart rate drops to about 2 beats per minute to conserve oxygen. But remember that lunge feeding tactic? When the whale accelerates to 30 miles an hour and opens its mouth to swallow a swimming pool's worth of water, that exact moment requires an absolute burst of energy. And when they do this, their heart rate instantly spikes to about 37 beats per minute. Now, 37 beats per minute sounds incredibly slow to us, but for a heart the size of a bumper car, 37 beats per minute is pushing it to its absolute limits. Scientists who have recorded this realize that during a lunge feed, the blue whale's heart is working at its absolute maximum capacity. It literally cannot beat any faster without failing. The reason blue whales don't get to 150 or 200 feet long isn't because there isn't enough food. It's because if they got any bigger, the sheer physical effort required to open their mouth and eat would literally cause their heart to explode, which is a pretty massive design flaw if you're just trying to get some lunch. They've maxed out the absolute physical limit of what a heart can actually pump. So they've maxed out their physical stats. But how does the rest of the ocean actually comprehend something that has reached the absolute limit of biology? We look at a blue whale and we see a very large animal, but that's because we have the benefit of looking at it from above, or on a screen where we can see the whole picture. Marine animals don't see the world this way. Most fish and sharks rely heavily on something called the lateral line system. It's basically a built-in radar running down the side of their bodies that lets them feel water moving. When a normal predator, like a dolphin or a shark, swims by, a fish feels a localized disturbance. It registers as an animal. But when a 400,000-pound blue whale approaches, the sheer volume of water being pushed out of the way is so impossibly large that it feels like the entire ocean is caving in. When a shark feels this, they aren't thinking,
"Oh, there's a big animal over there."
They just feel the entire ocean moving towards them. And if they don't leave right now, they're going to be completely crushed. And they don't just casually swim away. They bolt. They avoid the whale because their sensory organs are screaming at them that a physical wall of water is about to completely crush them. And that's really the only way to look at this animal. We spend so much time trying to categorize animals as either peaceful herbivores or terrifying apex predators. But the blue whale doesn't fit into either of these boxes. You can't really call it a peaceful giant when it violently engulfs millions of organisms in seconds and creates shockwaves just by speaking. And you can't call it a malicious predator either, because it has absolutely zero interest in hunting anything larger than a fingernail. The blue whale has basically broken the rules of the animal kingdom. When something is this massively overpowered, you don't try to fight it. You don't try to intimidate it. You just respectfully acknowledge that it's significantly more powerful than you are, and you get out of its way. And for the last few 100 million years, that's exactly what the entire ocean has done. But anyways, I'm personally just glad that they don't have a taste for scuba divers. I definitely wouldn't want to test out being trapped inside a whale's mouth. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please leave some suggestions in the comments for future videos, because I really appreciate all the ideas you guys have been leaving, and it helps me keep making good content for you. Also, if you haven't seen my second channel yet, Beyond the Green, make sure to check that out too for similar stuff just outside the water. And if you want to see our full video about what actually happened to the Megalodon, check it out here.